Welcome back to the ADHD revolution. I'm excited to be back sharing information, insights, and inspiration with you. It's important for me to share with you that today's episode was planned with Dr. Radha Measuria, who has been a guest on my show before. Unfortunately, the technical gremlins have struck, and the planned episode that we had is not usable. But I am going to share the content that we discussed. I'm going to do that on my own today, so I hope that you'll bear with me. But Dr. Radha will be back with us soon, and I will be sharing parts of our conversation that we had about gut health and sharing her thoughts and views with you. Please reach out to me if you need any additional clarity on what I share with you today. Dr. Radha Measuria is a trainee paediatric surgeon and longevity coach. She has a passion for optimizing health across all stages of life. She has years of experience as a medic for the Manx Special Olympics team at 2 World Games. Dr. Radha has worked extensively with diverse patient populations, including neurodiverse children and teenagers. She has also participated in numerous medical projects and humanitarian camps worldwide, and this gives her a unique perspective on how health, nutrition, and specialised care can transform lives. I'm Jean Gibson, author of the Amazon best-selling book, The ADHD Support Handbook, a real-life guide to empowering a child with ADHD and related conditions. I'm also a certified ADHD life coach, a mother of 4 adult children, with one of my children diagnosed with ADHD. I'm also a grandmother, with 3 of my grandchildren being diagnosed with either ADHD, autism, dyslexia, dyspraxia, or a combination of those conditions. I will help you to develop the confidence and understanding of ADHD and related neurodiverse conditions in a down-to-earth, relatable way so that you can support and advocate for yourself or your young person wherever you are on your ADHD journey. So strap in and let's get started. Now, Dr. Radha shared with me that studies have shown there is a connection between gut health and ADHD and other neuropsychiatric disorders. So let's break this down to understand some of these key elements. I want to start by understanding and talking about what gut health is. So what does that mean? Now, gut health is talking about the symptoms or the problems with your gut. And you might experience things like bloating or stomach cramps after eating, or perhaps your bowel habits are regular or irregular, or you're struggling in that area. It's about understanding the impact of what's going on in our gut and the impact that that can have on the rest of our body. And when we're able to make that connection, we can identify that there may be a gut issue or there may be an issue with our gut. Now, Dr. Radha mentioned that the gut is often talked about as being the second brain. And if you're getting symptoms outside of the gut, but it is related to what is happening in the gut, that can indicate that maybe your gut health is not where it needs to be. So there is an ability to make that connection. Microbiome is another term that I've heard in relation to the gut. And I asked Dr. Radha, what does microbiome mean? So she explained to me that it's the way that the medical professionals explain gut health. And then she said that it's very rare that you have 3 or 4 or more different conditions going on at the same time. And that there's usually a link or there's a pattern going on. And that's what they look for. They look for that link or they look for that pattern. She mentioned that recent research has become the central focus of a lot of those things. So there's a lot of work that's been going on in the background to understand gut health and the impact that it can have on our bodies. So here are some of the things that she mentioned. So, as she said, and as we probably already heard, we are what we eat. What we put into our bodies is often what we will see or experience with our bodies. And the nutrients that we take in make up the building blocks of our systems. So whatever you eat gets processed in our gut and then distributed around the rest of our body. The microbiome is a collection of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, all working together as a community to digest the food. And it helps to produce different things in our body, like hormones. So an example might be, and the analogy that she gave me was of a rainforest, thinking about the biodiversity in a rainforest and how it's made up of various different diverse ecosystems, all working together for that rainforest to thrive and flourish. But if there's an imbalance, and what she said was, if some of those things benefit your gut, so some of that biodiversity is going to benefit our gut, and some of it might be harmful to our gut. But it's about getting the balance. Staying with the rainforest analogy, if there's an imbalance in the rainforest, problems may start to occur. So if there's an imbalance in our gut, then the symptoms and issues will start to surface and manifest in different ways. And if more of that harmful bacteria takes over. So if there's too much of that harmful bacteria, then it can start to deteriorate and cause us issues. And studies have shown that children with ADHD have a different collection of microbiomes than those children that don't have ADHD. That's interesting, isn't it? And the imbalance presents as hyperactivity and impulsivity because of this imbalance. So there's our connection with our gut. If the gut isn't performing as it should, if it's not getting the nutrients that it needs, then it's going to manifest in various ways. And one of those ways, especially for those of us with ADHD, we'll start to see those symptoms. Perhaps those symptoms are more heightened. So let's talk a bit more then about the connection to ADHD and our gut health. There are chemicals called neurotransmitters, and you may be familiar with these. Dopamine, which if you've done any research about an understanding of ADHD, dopamine is one of those key things, the dopamine-seeking behaviours that you may notice or become aware of. And serotonin, and that's often known as the happy hormone. So dopamine and serotonin are produced and regulated in the gut. And we know that two of these transmitters are often lacking in those with ADHD. Dr. Measuria says that 90% of serotonin, or those happy hormones, are produced in the gut. So if there is an imbalance in your gut, these neurotransmitters and chemicals cannot function properly or be created properly. So hopefully now you're building this picture and understanding that what goes on in our gut is going to impact us in terms of how we behave. The impact is that the connection with those chemicals, the impact is the connection these chemicals make with the brain are disrupted. And this can lead to mood swings, maybe high sensitivity, that's not the right word, but hopefully you'll edit this out. Could lead to inappropriate behaviour and the impulsivity. The connection to our diet and lifestyle is key, and considering how to mitigate these symptoms is also important for us. So hopefully now you've made that connection with our gut. What we put into our gut is going to manifest in a way that either supports that biodiversity, which is our body, or it's not going to support our body. It's not going to support those neurotransmitters that we need. So diet, or lots of processed sugars and chemical flavourings, low fibre diets, chronic stress, all of those things can impact and create that imbalance that I mentioned earlier. So this is about creating balance in our gut, ensuring that our gut has a balance of nutrients, the nutrients that it needs to be able to support those neurotransmitters so that they can function effectively. Our rainforest. So if we're not supporting our rainforest, going back to the analogy, the rainforest is then depleted and could become a desert rather than flourishing as it should be. And when we talk about the gut, we mean the bowel or the small or large intestine or the small or large bowel. That whole area is called or is referred to as the gut. And if your gut lining is compromised or disrupted in some way, it will allow toxins and undigested food particles into the bloodstream. And that then triggers an immune response or inflammatory response. So that's going to impact us in a negative way, effectively. So hopefully that you've grasped an understanding of the importance of our gut health and how an imbalance in our gut health can impact us with the symptoms that we see, the ADHD symptoms that we see. And so now that we've got a bit of an understanding about that, let's have a look at what we can do to mitigate those issues. So to ensure that our gut flourishes like a rainforest, we need to do a number of things. Firstly, increasing all of the colourful things that you put into your body. So the food, the selection of foods that we eat, fruit, vegetables, adding colour and eating whole foods rather than processed foods. And I know that you've probably heard that, but this really gives you an indication of how important it is to eat the right types of foods based on the impact that it can have. Also minimising sugar so that you're able to stabilise your own internal blood sugars. Adding things like herbs and spices, not chili spice, but just different flavours will add to that rainbow and help to hydrate the body and support those neurotransmitters. In addition to all of that, good sleep hygiene is important. And I suspect that you've heard this before. And we also know how challenging it can be for someone with ADHD to sleep, to get to sleep, to stay asleep, and then to wake up in the morning. But when we sleep, our body is repairing. It does all of its cleansing and processing when we're sleeping. And this allows your brain to cleanse itself, and the gut can also do its repairing. So sleep is really important because it allows our body to do the processing and cleansing that it needs to, so that when we wake up refreshed in the morning, when we wake up in the morning, our body has been able to go through that process. And hopefully that helps you to understand that those that struggle with sleep and perhaps then may be displaying symptoms that are heightened, it's perhaps because of that imbalance in their body. Those neurotransmitters are not getting the nutrients that they need so that they can function effectively. So how can we check on our gut and make sure that it's functioning? One of the things Dr. Measuria said is that they look out for patterns. So pattern recognition is useful to identify and to notice repetitive symptoms and repetitive behaviours. And what we might do, so if we're going for an assessment or if we're going to the doctors or a medical professional for a particular issue, we might have made a record of what we've noticed. So this is about doing the same sort of thing. It's about noticing what we notice and looking for the patterns in what we see. And so we're doing this for our bowel habits also, noticing the feelings that we get in our stomach. Notice if there is a pattern, maybe it's after you've eaten something at a certain time of day, perhaps meeting a certain individual or people or events. What is it that triggers this feeling that you're feeling? Maybe you're feeling more nervous, maybe it's when you're stressed out. Are you feeling more bloated, or are you going to the bathroom more often? So it's about recording and capturing this information so that you can then look and review that information and look for the pattern or notice the pattern. Dr. Radha also said that she's seen it in children, in particular when they're in unstable environments. They're always going to the bathroom, or they're worried about going to the bathroom. Perhaps if a child has not been to the bathroom for several days, their brain just does not function in the same way because it hasn't had its opportunity to cleanse and process. So there are some practical things that we can do, and I've talked through some of them already, but I'm going to do a little bit of a summary then to help you with this. So again, creating a healthy sleep routine is really important to allow our bodies to repair itself. And notice the patterns of what symptoms or issues that we see, that we notice, what events have occurred. Record that information. By recording it in a way that you're able to see what's gone on when, will help you to identify the pattern. Consider the diet that either you or your child or young person has had that day. So perhaps you notice that they're being particularly overly sensitive or particularly angry. There's an emotion that you notice. Maybe they've had a particularly bad day. What's gone on in that day? What was their diet like? Have they eaten more sweets than they normally would do? What food did they eat? And then, over time, you can start to reduce the things that might be destroying the rainforest, to introduce more healthy, nutritious foods that's going to create that rainbow of food. One new food at a time, perhaps. One meal at a time. One day at a time. Until you're increasing and you have this rainbow of food that's being eaten rather than processed. So you're reducing also the amount of processed food that's been ingested, so that you're giving your gut that opportunity to heal itself and to send the nutrients that are needed and to support the neurotransmitters, so that it's going to reduce those symptoms and the impact on the individual. Being curious and open-minded to recognizing and noticing patterns. This is all going to help you in managing your ADHD, whether it's yours or your child or young person or your loved one's ADHD, more effectively. I found the conversation with Dr. Radha about this topic really, really invaluable, really interesting and really useful to know, to understand that relationship with our gut and the symptoms of ADHD that we notice. If you'd like to contact Dr. Radha, you can contact her on her Instagram, which is Dr. Radha Measuria, DRRADHAMEASURIA, or email her at hello@drdoctor-rpm.co.uk. Dr. Radha's going to be back with us soon. I'm sure you'll see her again. You can purchase my book, The ADHD Support Handbook, on Amazon. You can support my cause to transform the lives of at least 10,000 people by joining the ADHD Revolution Facebook group. You can follow me on Instagram at CoachJean_APD, connect with me on LinkedIn, or email me at jean@activepersonaldevelopment.co.uk. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I look forward to speaking to you again on the next episode. You don't want to miss it.